Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you all. Good morning. Welcome. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Welcome to Mornings with Marvel, where authenticity lives and thrives to create a space of growth, healing, and joy. I am your host, Andrea Lawful Sanders, and each day we will cover the topics that are informative and engaging while learning from each other. Good morning to each and every one of you. It is Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. I am happy to report that the strike between District Council 33 negotiations with District Council 33. Negotiations happened yesterday, and late last night they came to an agreement. I'd like to read two things to all of you. Um, so that you can decide for yourselves. I did reach out to leadership at District Council 33. I am sure they are exhausted, and so we'll wait to see if I hear back from any one of them. You are free to call in this morning at 215-400-0146. Good morning, Bobby Carr. Good morning. Please feel free, and it's here on Facebook. You'll see it on Instagram. Please feel free to call in at 215-400-0146. Now, we had been 2 days ago, I did an interview with the District Council Vice President Antoine Little, and they made their case around what they would need to have in order to have a livable wage. Let me give you what came out from Mayor Sherelle Parker last night. Um, I have good news tonight that the hardworking men and women of AFSME District Council 33, and for every taxpaying resident and business in Philadelphia, the work stoppage involved in District Council 33 and the City of Philadelphia is over. We have reached a tentative agreement with District Council 33, which must be ratified by its membership on a new 3-year contract, coupled with the 1-year contract extension we agreed to last fall. So I want you to pay attention that this is on top of the last fall they were given a 4% rate increase, and so in her head this will increase, not in her head, as a direct result. These DC 33 members pay will increase this DC 33 members pay by 14% over 4 years in office, over her 4 years in office. We will have much more to say about this historic deal tomorrow at City Hall. We are valuing our workforce and we're safeguarding our city's hard-earned fiscal stability at the same time. The strike is over. That was a statement made by on behalf of Mayor Sherelle Parker late last night. Now, I want to then go over to here and let you know. Let me just share this part with you. Matt O'Donnell posted this morning, and I'm now getting text messages that are saying same thing. The trash piles in Philadelphia will soon be moving out. District Council 33 struck a tentative deal with the City of Philadelphia early this morning. The union members who work in city services like sanitation and 911 dispatching will get a 3-year deal with a 9% overall raise. That is slightly higher than Mayor Sherelle Parker's offer of 8.7%, but way lower than what DC 33 wanted, 15%. Union President Greg Boulware spoke to Action News after the deal was reached and stated he was not happy, and that he did the best we could. More coverage on Action News Morning. That's happening. So according to, and then I just got a text message that says many of the rank and file are not very happy about it. They still have to ratify the agreement. So we are holding on and hoping that the membership ratify the agreement if they haven't already. But let me read this again. Mayor Sherelle Parker, good morning, John Amalis. Good morning, Kimber Farrell. Mayor Sherelle Parker, good morning, Marguerite. Good morning. Mayor Sherelle Parker, in a statement, said that in conjunction with the 1-year deal that they had last fall, she is giving District Council 33 14% raise. Matt O'Donnell said, after talking to Greg Bulwer, who is the president of District Council 33, said that the union members who work in city services like sanitation and 911 dispatching overall a 3-year deal with a 9% overall raise. That is slightly higher than Mayor Sherelle Parker's offer of 8.7%, but way lower than what District Council 33 wanted, 15%. Union President Greg Bulwer spoke to Action News after the deal was reached and stated he was not happy, but that he did the best we could. And so that's what's going on. What are your thoughts? I'm asking you. Good morning, David. I'm asking you to call in 215-400-0146 so we can have a discussion about this. And here is why. Yesterday morning, and let me, because I want to make sure that I am reading this the proper way and that I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth. Let's see. Ryan Boyer. I am a lifelong union member. Unions have played a major role in my family for generations. No one has advocated more aggressively for fair wages, safe working conditions, and a higher standard of living for workers than I have. But even in the most combative negotiations, there's always a line that I won't cross. Posting the mayor's address publicly, the place that she calls home, where she sleeps, where her son sleeps, crosses that line. I will always stand with workers, but as the father and husband of a Black woman, I believe with all my heart that we must protect Black women. The name calling, referring to her as a bee, mocking her appearance, these have no place in serious business negotiations. Jeopardizing the mayor's safety and that of her son is not a negotiating tactic. We live in a time where elected officials are being gunned down in their homes. Posting the mayor's address is a poorly veiled threat. It's cowardly, and I won't stand by while it happens. I say to my brothers, Black men, do better. There's a lot of conversation around that post that he created, that he put up yesterday. So here's what is being alleged. And I'm saying being alleged because I have not seen anything of the sort in my timeline, right? So the algorithm did not show me any of this stuff, and no one has sent anything to me. It's alleged that people were giving out the mayor's address where she lived, and that they had posted her son's school where he goes to camp. And so members of District Council 33, when I spoke to them, said, it is not us. We don't know who is doing this. The leadership is not doing it. We're not sure what is going on here, but we truly, we would not have done anything like this. Again, I am only telling you it's an allegation because I have not seen anything in writing with my own eyes, right? So I have to say it's an allegation. And so as a direct result, all of yesterday was spent saying that, we must be very mindful about how we post the addresses and jeopardize the lives of our politicians. Now, with that being said, we all saw 2 politicians, 4 of them, who were gunned down in Michigan. 2 died and 2 were fighting for their lives the last time we had heard. 1 had come out of the hospital. So to Ryan Boyer's point, we have to be incredibly mindful. Even those of us who are in the media, because we've had this conversation over and over again, right? We have to be incredibly careful. But we also, in the middle of our disagreements with politicians, they're public servants. We want to be mindful that we don't put their lives at risk because of whatever the disagreement is. I'm also going to say this. When we are in public office, aside from putting folks' names in their addresses and stuff like that, we have to develop a thicker skin because people are going to say all kinds of things. And I do mean all kinds of things. I experienced that last year as a media person. People will send you the nastiest messages. And my media friends and I discuss this all the time. People will inbox you if they don't like what you say. They will threaten you, threaten this, threaten that. So it is important that we protect each other in the midst of the times that we are in. It is absolutely important, right? Absolutely important. So if you want to call in 215-400-0146, please, so that we can talk about this. Let's have a discussion because this has divided I think the union workers against so many other people, even as the union people could see that they really needed this cost of living increase. They were not making this stuff up. Over the years, through several mayors, Nutter, Kinney, all of them, before it got to Mayor Parker, this was an issue for District Council 33. And we tend to ignore the folks who are doing the things to make our lives better daily. That being said, I also want you to go and take a look at the fiscal year budget. See where the monies are coming from. It's just not okay to regurgitate everything that we see and hear from either side. Go do your reading. If you read, right, pick up your phone, pick up your tablets, whatever it is, and start to read. The contract that these District Council 33 put forth is 20 pages long. Let AI open it up and say, read it for me. Listen to it with your own ears. Take notes if you don't want to read it with your eyes. But we have got to figure out a way to have conversations that is edifying for the folks so that you can fully understand, not just to regurgitate what you hear other people saying, right? One of the things that I heard quite a bit was the mayor's salary. When she first got into office and she put the budget proposal together and handed it to City Council, all those numbers that you all are talking about was there. No one talked about it, barely mentioned it. It went before City Council and City Council passed it, right? So I don't want anybody to sit around and think that City Council came up with this budget and put it together and then they passed it. This came from the mayor's office. All those numbers, all those salaries, she put it forth to the City Council, and they passed it as it was after having a series of conversations about the budget, right? No one in City Council, as far as I knew, publicly, and again, this is me. Privately, they were having the conversation about some of the numbers and some of the salaries, but publicly, they all put together one unified, solidified voice and face to this budget that was passed. So if we don't talk about it as it's happening in the moment, there are not enough people showing up at City Council saying, what is this about the budget? Why is this? I was asking Council Member Anthony Phillips when he was showing up every Friday. I was picking apart the budget and saying, where did these salaries come from? Can you explain to the people? And he says, this came from the mayor's office. We have to ratify and pass this budget. We're asking her questions now, et cetera, et cetera. That's what I mean when I say, you don't wait until you're in the middle of a crisis to start regurgitating things. The time to discuss that was back then. So what does this mean for District Council 33? Instead of getting the 15% that they wanted, required, and needed, they got 9%. Move aside the 4% that they got last year as a one-year agreement. When the mayor got into office, they got a one-year agreement for 4% when she first came into office last fall. They're now getting a 9%, and it's on top of the 8 point. So it's the mayor wanted to offer them 8.75%, according to District Council 33. The mayor acquiesced to 9%. That's a 0.25% increase over what the mayor was offering them when they first went on strike. And so from what we're gathering now, the membership is not happy. They still have to ratify this agreement. And according to Greg Boulware, they did the best that they could. They are getting 9 instead of 15% over the next 3 years. They wanted, so just so you are aware. Let me read some of these comments. Good morning, Teresa Brown Paris. Yes. Good morning, Sandra. Teresa Bonai Winetta. I see all of you. Good morning. Let's see. Good morning, Laura. All right. I see all the good mornings. Let me just move past them so I can read some of these comments here. Good morning, y'all. All right. Andrea says 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 14%. Is not what they asked for, but is where they settled. They won't be satisfied, but are expected to return to work. All right, Andrea. Okay. I thought it was 4%. Was it 5% that she gave them last year? I can't. In my mind's eye, I remember that being 4%, but I have to go back and double check. Laverne says, yes, that has been so out of control, unprofessional, and unethical. Anyone in the union doing it should be penalized. Well, they'll find out. Whoever's done it, y'all forget that people can screenshot things. So whoever's done this, Again, I have not seen anything of the sort, but whoever has done this, they need to be aware. Oh, Jazenia says, I have seen her address on TikTok. Wow. Laverne said, I have seen it all over Instagram, and I had to tell people to stop sending me disrespectful things about her. I mean, professionals have sent things to me and said foul things about her. I shut down. Wow. Wow. Whew. Wow. Shakila says, I think that was a breaking point, and I also think since it wasn't the union president should have said what Ryan Boyer said. All right. Andrea says, the allegations of doxing are true, but with social media being what it is, the posters could be anywhere. I saw things with my own eyes on TikTok. Those postings aren't even from Philadelphia. Interesting. Again, so grateful that I don't, Lord. Shakila says, I agree. I think whoever did that hurt the union's ability to negotiate. I agree with that, Shakila. I do. Good morning, Alexandra. Tiffany wants to know, what is doxing? All right, I'll look that up for you, Tiffany. Let me give you the official version of it, not my thoughts and opinions. Lord have mercy. These people are just too much. And I agree that, Shakila, that they hurt the chances of the membership of the union when it came out that this was happening with the mayor. We got to be careful. But and then I wondered if people did this on purpose, hold on, y'all. Doxing, the action or process of searching for and publishing private or identifying information about a particular individual on the internet, typically with malicious intent. So, yeah, there we go. So that's doxing, Tiffany. I wanted to give you the official response to it. Alexandra says, also the positions in her administration were approved by the voters during the elections. There were questions on the ballot. Absolutely. Andrea says, and because council knew what the budget was, they knew we'd eventually be here with DC 33 as well. Shakila says, Isaiah Thomas was the only one, let me read this, that publicly stated that the DC 33 salaries were inexcusable given the budget. But I agree, they didn't question her about the salaries. She did increase. Oh, look at Andrea. See, Andrea, I love you. Doxing, when you search for and publish private and then are identifying information about a particularly individual on the internet, typically with malicious intent. Thank you, Andrea. I should have let you do it while I was in here. She said, yes, the last year extension was 5%. So forgive me. That was 5%, not 4%. Shakila says, so at what point will we hold city council to the fire for authorizing this budget, knowing there were not fair wages in there for District Council 33? Fair question. Shakila, this will also make it harder for any other mayor to sign any one-year extensions. Going from 5% to 2% when they started this year is insulting. All right. Laverne says, according to what Andrea and Shakila are saying, was the mayor set up? That's a question only you guys can answer. I don't know. Teresa Brown Parrish said on Facebook, so true. We should all get involved in our local community administration meetings. I'm telling you, I was covering the budget. I had the whole budget in front of me. I was going line by line, precept by precept. Those of you who are on the air with me when I was doing it before it was ratified by City Council heard me asking Councilmember Phillips, what is this? What is this 236,000 salary for? There was a name of one person. There was no job description, but they had a $236,000 salary. I was asking. Y'all just kind of, we are so distracted, and we only go and take a look it would not have been a thing if city council said, okay, we're not doing this. But they went a unified front, according to Shakila. Only Isaiah Thomas, and I think I did see that, where he publicly said we're going to have a problem with District Council 33 because it's disrespectful, the salaries that they're being offered, right? Yeah, it's crazy. Monica says, I am grateful. Me either, Monica. I am grateful that I did not see any of those horrible posts. However, I did see the videos of people driving down Route 78 to dump trash at City Hall to make their point. Wow, this was ugly. This was so ugly. Someone says, good morning. Greg Bulwer testified during the budget about the salary issue. Okay. Wow. Laura says, as a brown-skinned Black woman, people will come for her unfairly, which is why last year at this time, I kept saying to those of you who are around me, we need to have a conversation about how Black women can harm and heal. I did it. I was very specific. I wanted to have a public dialogue about it. And so Andrea Robin Manley is here and can testify to the fact that I put it out there, thought I was going to get 20 people. Almost 200 women showed up from all backgrounds, and we began having the dialogue. This is a thing, right? Ryan Boyer was discussing Black men and the things that they did. I guess he knew from what he saw that it was Black men that were doing this. And I had to get on there and say, let's be clear, women are doing it too, right? But there's a thing with Black women. I want us to be really thoughtful in curating the things that we say and do to each other. It happens way too often. It happens way too often. So how do we sit as women and say, I disagree with you in principle, but don't do it publicly. Don't have the discussion publicly. Sit privately and have the conversation and say, how can we figure this out? Right? Because let me be frank, Black women harm each other too. Let me be really, really clear. We get in our feelings, and then we said, oh, well, I'm going to show her. And we dox Black women. I was doxed last year, right? I was absolutely doxed last year. Unfortunately, it backfired on them because of the stuff that was going on, that people had known, the things that I'd been doing quietly to help our community. So please, y'all, please, when I say protect those of us who are in public spaces, public office, and doing the work, please. There's security cameras everywhere around me, including in my car. Please. I need you all to think these things through. Please. Whew. Lord have mercy. So phone is Tiffany says, honestly, 3% in a year will not move the needle on their net income. I'm sure the union will not be happy. Only time will tell. They have to ratify this. The mayor's hoping that they will ratify this. David says this strike had nothing to do with her being a Black woman. I agree. Listen, but people made it about her being a Black woman. They did. They absolutely did, David. They made it about, they started to say, according to Ryan Boyer, they talked about her appearance. They did all sorts of crazy things. And it's awful, right? Rosalind says, we need to be able to express how we feel without tearing each other down. My thing is that District 33 are underpaid, but this is not new. Where was the fight years ago when it was still needed? Right. I find it interesting that it all came to a head under her leadership. I find it really interesting. But Isaiah Thomas, when he looked at the budget, said this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a problem for them. To those of you who were out there, serving the strikers, making sure that they had food and water and supporting them, they thank you. They absolutely thank you. For those of you who were in the middle, making sure that this negotiation came to an amicable agreement, thank you. Thank you. It is not easy doing this work. And so please, I want you all to think through. And as you're getting ready to go to the negotiation table, and for the people who are in the mayor's camp, to protect her as much as they possibly can, because this got really ugly. And to someone's point on here, once they started to hear that she was being doxxed, it really weakened the position of District Council 33, allegedly. And so that they, couldn't negotiate. The mayor went from 8.75% over 3 years, and the union got 9% on top of the 5 that they had originally got for that 1-year agreement last year. So the mayor's saying they're getting 14% overall. District Council 33, Greg Boulware says he's not happy, but they did the best that they could. Laverne says, it's a mess. Meanwhile, in childcare, a lot of family providers are losing the food program. PHL Pre-K administration sent us food bank resources. Now my complaint is going to city council. Wow. Shakila says, David, I agree, but I think where it went in the end did happen because she was a black woman that has no black man beside her. What? The audacity to do that wouldn't have happened to another demographic. So they thought she was fair game, huh? Okay. Folks are interested out here. Laverne says, it won't. The 3% raise will not impact their net income. They will still work overtime to make ends meet. And she also said, but people made it about a black woman instead of about what the negotiations was. Someone here on Instagram says, I received the 3% raise this year and I work in healthcare. Do I feel a difference or see a difference? No. As a matter of fact, I forgot to check last month. So people have opinions on in one way or another about this. I see all your thoughts here. Dolores says, thank you, Marvel. We need to learn how to manage things better. Right. So when all the conversation was happening about the budget last year, and I was sitting there saying, can we please take a look at these numbers? The mayor and her people handed the budget to city council. I asked city council members, including Anthony Phillips, what's going on here? Privately, many of them were unhappy. Publicly, they went along and passed the budget as is. A year later, we're all posting about what's going on, and it's insane, right? We need to pay attention in the moment. Let's see. Winetta says, if putting her address out there publicly as a negotiation, she says, putting her address out there publicly as a negotiation tactic is not good. People can now use it in other ways for other reasons. That's a problem. Marguerite Boyd Faison says, while her delivery was not the best, Madam Mayor said we would know these numbers had we attended the meetings and asked the questions. Ooh, baby. Well, here we go. Tiffany says, I am not condoning the things said about the mayor. However, I think that some of her actions during the 76ers arena caused her not to be likable. Shakila says, I disagree. Cherry Gregg, thank you, my sister. She says, my question, good morning, darling. She says, my question is, why did the union accept it and walk out and say we are not happy? Nothing the mayor offered would have been enough to close the gap. That comes from my sister, Cherry Gregg from WHYY. That is a great question to ask, and I'm sure when you're on your show today, you will ask it, because he walked out. I wonder what was said in the negotiations that made them agree to something that they're not happy with. 8.75 to 9%. So Shakila says, I disagree that we can't express our feelings publicly. She took a public office. Laverne says, the fight didn't happen years ago because the cost of living wasn't shot to hell like it is now. Wow. Shakila says, I think it came to a head under the leadership because DC 33 voted in new leadership for this very reason, to argue that they have been overlooked for far too long. Wow. Alexandra says, Tiffany, Jefferson Health has given a 3% raise to the base pay across the health system, which won't mean much to those of us making under $20 an hour. So here's my thought. We have known for a while that this particular uh, district council has been underpaid for at least 4 mayors. At least some of them took 8 years in office, stayed in office for 8 years, and the membership said that the leadership that they had wasn't doing anything for them, and they voted in new leadership. I remember that too, when that was happening, and folks were inboxing me, telling me what was getting ready to happen, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's this new leadership that says we have to fight on behalf of the people. What are we doing? How is this working out? It's not working out for folks. But here we go. Laverne says we heard no backlash about DC 33 prior president the way we are hearing about the mayor. Look at that. Monica says the world will always make it about being a Black woman. We always have a hard way to go. Pray for the mayor for the next 2 unions negotiations, SEPTA and the school district. Wow. Laura says a close male friend of mine said the union did this because the mayor is a woman. Do you believe or agree that women in leadership are treated vastly different than men? Do you agree? Did you let me know and let me know why you agree? Give me solid examples, please. Someone says, I think the city was working on an injunction to send sanitation back, and without that population of workers, the less visible strikes would be a longer missing pay as negotiation dragged on. Tamara says, these issues go back to Mayor Kenny. They came to a head on her watch. Nah, it went back further than Kenny. People are talking about Nutter, how Nutter was really, in 1986, they did a strike too. Under another mayor. So this goes all the way back. Tamara says, now let's see what happens when the school district and talks of a strike. Sweet baby Jesus. And they're talking. I read a report from the school district that said that they've set themselves up to have a strike without having a ratification by the membership. And I read this a couple of weeks ago and I wondered, what's going on? What's going on here? Well, here we are. This is where we are right now. Yes, Cherry Gregg says Nutter gave them the lowest pay adjustment of all the mayors. Yes, he did. Absolutely. And they never forgot it either. So where do we go from here? How are we navigating through all of this? What are the lessons that we learn? Those of you who are in the public, no one really paid attention to this until your trash was not being picked up. It rained buckets last night, so a lot of that stuff went down into the sewer system. How are we going to navigate this? Will this make you pay attention to budget hearings, better as we move forward? What are the lessons you learned from this? Because I'm telling you, this is crazy. Laverne says most jobs in this country were never made to make a living. A 60K degree, what? Oh wow. Laverne Cheeseburger says most jobs in this country were never made to make a living. A $60,000 degree later, I was offered $12 an hour at the most. I never used that degree. Shh. Many people have more than one job now. This is why we're all so sick, just overdoing it. Tamara said, I meant to add Nutter to the mix, right? Tiffany says, I can't say the strike during Wilson Good's term was brutal. I think the times are expensive. They need an increase. J.I. says, the reality for many people is that the percentage rates in single digits never really make a difference due to the taxes we have to pay on the federal, state, and local level. Joanne says, I believe there's also a trash strike in some places in Massachusetts. They say the mayor, Michelle Wu, is the mayor, but it's supposedly private companies and she's not directly involved. Andrea says the 1986 strike was under Good, ended after 20 days with an injunction forcing everyone back to work. No pay adjustment, just disgruntled employees. So this was a long time coming, huh? Laverne says Nutter was the worst. Whoa. Someone says here on Instagram, I recall in the 80s when I received 8% merit, 7% across the board cost of living. This afforded me to live in the Parkway for a $328 a month rent, all utilities included. Then in the 90s, everything skyrocketed. Yeah, it's rough. I was sitting with a friend yesterday in the middle of meetings, and we began talking about what was shifting and changing in the country, how we had to, and I mean all of us. If you're making $300,000 and under, I promise you, everybody is sitting there going, okay, how do we adjust our budgets? How do we do what we're supposed to do? It is untenable to me. I One of my children, and I'm saying this. Yes, Cherry says we pay sanitation workers lower than most, not just in Philly, but across the country and world. We need to think why we treat them so badly. We really, really do. It is horrific. I was telling District Council Vice President Antoine Little a couple of days ago when I was interviewing him here that some years ago I was cleaning out this house and we had like all this excess trash every week, and they would take the trash and not say anything, right? One week I went outside, I said, okay, $50 for you, $50 for you. You would have thought it was Christmas in the middle of summer. And when I saw how grateful they were, because in the moment I did not know what they were getting paid. Every week that they picked up extra stuff for us, I paid them extra money. They were so grateful. They're like, you can drop out anything that you want. We take for granted that the taxes that we pay on home ownership, which is really not, and let me be clear, because we're fussing and fighting about it. When you see Cheltenham's property taxes, which include sanitation, Abington, and all those other places and what they pay for taxes, our taxes are really not as high. So if you know you can, and if you're out here paying $10 a bag while DC 33 was on strike, you know we can do a little bit better. We can. We absolutely can. If you don't want, if their salaries have not gone up as high as they needed to be, and you now are aware that this is what's going on with them, if you put out extra trash, drop a couple extra dollars in their hands, please. Please, because to Cherry's point, we really do need to think about why they are treated so terribly. The people we need the most are the ones we value the least. Because as you can see, the rats and the possums and everybody were running around. Listen, the possums were walking down 3rd and Market saying, boy, listen, it's a feast. We're having a feast, because they were able to run around and eat all that trash. And we never thought about these people who every day get up, rain, sleet, or snow, the stench, the hard backbreaking labor, and we don't think them through. We don't think about them in a way where we really should honor the work that they do. Let me see. People are talking here. There's a lot being said here, and I'm grateful to all of you. So someone says, during Nutter's administration, there was a financial collapse. It was demoralizing as we worked with frozen salaries for years. Laverne says, exactly. They take the raise in taxes. So by the time they take out the taxes, you're getting an extra $10 to $15, maybe $50 every other week in your paycheck. And so it is demoralizing. Tiffany says, J.I. correct. I calculate salary on daily basis. 3% raise doesn't move the needle on net income. I looked up the cost for homes in Bethesda, Maryland. Not one home was under $1 million. True story. Somebody in my family was making $97,000 a year and could not afford to pay the mortgage because the mortgage was so high. The cost to live, and this wasn't Lord Jesus. This wasn't a home that was this fantastic. The cost of homes had gone up so much. This house was $500,000. The house is $500,000, and the mortgage was a lot. And so when you really needed two incomes to make ends meet at $92,000 a year. So when you sit and look at someone making 36 and the highest pay that they make is in the mid 50s, $55,000. And according to Vice President Antoine Little, it's very rare that people get to that stage where they're making $50,000 to $55,000 a year through the District Council 33 within the sanitation department. What does that say about us? He said there were people working and were living, renting a room. They couldn't afford to rent an apartment. That there were people cleaning the airport and watching people taking flights, and them and their families could not get on those flights. Cherry says we need to tip our sanitation workers. It should become a common practice. I agree. I absolutely agree. And so every time you put out something extra, and you know you got a whole bunch of shiggity being put out on the curb, way extra than what your trash should be, pay them a little extra and don't make a big deal out of it. Just pay them. And Laverne, to your point, honey, houses, townhomes are $500,000. You will very rarely find a house now that is under $1 million. And someone said on Facebook, and I literally clenched my teeth and shut down. Well, they can afford $100,000 home, so they need to shut up. Where can you tell me, Black G? Tell me where you can find a house for $100,000 right now. Tell me. Marvel just needs to know. If you can tell me where you can find a house for $100,000, let me know. I might be wrong, and I'm okay with being wrong, but just let me know. Okay. Tiffany says jobs follow the caste system as well. I agree. Alexandra says, I agree. I used my degree as a salary negotiation as an executive administrative professional, not what the degree is for. Yeah, we'll talk about degrees another day, because both my sons said, I'm not using I needed a degree to get these jobs, but I'm not using them. So one day we will have a conversation. There are jobs that require having a degree. If you want to be a lawyer, dab nabbit, you cannot go out there and say and put up a shingle. You must go to school for it. You want to be a doctor, a scientist, an engineer. Many jobs require your having degrees, but there's so many more where you can really make a living without having it. District Council 33 is treated that way because people think that without a degree, you don't matter. David, wow. Laura says, I took a position in 2004. It was a sales position. The base salary has only moved about $5,000 a year. In 2004 to now? Woo. Tamara says, my mom pays over $9,000 a year in taxes. Lord God. CG says, is that property taxes or federal taxes? CG says, yes, I agree, because that thing about just being barefoot in the kitchen, something women have no intellectual brain. From the beginning of time, men have been in the forefront leading wars and negotiations, but what people they didn't fail to recognize it. They knew behind closed doors, women were the ones saying, do this, do that quietly. Someone says on Facebook, Art Brian 17, only in Belize, Central America currently. However, by the time I get there, I won't be able to afford anything. My masters have not gotten me any extra. Now I think it's ageism. Laura says the country has not had any real wage increases since the 80s. And Laverne says, yes, Laura, the minimum wage is still the minimum wage in Pennsylvania is still $7.25. Do you think that was accidental? Coinky dinky? Come on now. Lord, they thought that someone offering that to work for them. Renetta Smith says, oh, my earrings is I'll talk about that later, Dolores. Renetta says, I think she might have made a promise during the election time to get their votes. Renetta, in the very beginning, when folks were running for mayor, some of the unions did not endorse Mayor Parker. That is well known. So you can go up and look for yourself and see what ended up as a direct result. Teresa Brown Paris says, yes, women in leadership are treated vastly different than their counterparts. She says, being Black is double jeopardy. Look at the recent presidential election. We don't have to look far. Look in your own community. It's just crazy. Joanne says the same people disrespecting the mayor are some of the same Black people who are silent about the Trump administration. Being mayor is a hard job, and even more so for a first-time Black woman, for being a mayor for the first time as a Black woman. Laverne says, exactly, Joanne. They actually voted for him. Alexandra says, David Lipscomb, that part. I learned that the receptionist at my company is only making $18 per hour. The executive assistants are going to coach her to negotiate a raise after evaluations, and that's how we help each other. Thank you very much. MP says the city needs to rethink tax abatements, builders contracts, and pilots to free up resources. I'm looking at her. Leslie Renee wrote a manifesto that was just incredible. And I wish she was a part of the negotiations because she's figured out ways to free up some of the resources. Laverne says, my husband sold his home in South Philly. They rehabbed it and sold it for $500,000. I was pissed with him. What did he sell it for, Laverne? Because that's the other thing. We kept saying, don't give up your family home. Hold on to it. They will come up with a higher salary, a higher price to sell it to you. But Black folks, we were giving it up. CG said, Marvel, you mean a decent home? A decent home, right? Alexandra says you can get a house for $100,000, Marvel. You'll have to pour $250. Oh dear God, you will have to pour $250,000 in renovating it though. So the house is really $350,000. So you buy a shell for $100,000, and then you have to pour all this money in to renovate it. Whoo. Melissa says the real conversation is raising the minimum wage from the state level. Agreed, Melissa. I agree. Wow. Tamara says the $9,000 tax on her mother's is on her home, and she has not one child attending the schools. David says, a degree is nothing but a certification of a skill. It does not make one more smarter than anyone else. Preach. Laverne says, she did, but she didn't know they would take it to this level. She made an agreement with us too to get her vote and is now giving everything to the school district. So Laverne works with the child care industry. Shakila says, but that's why it was insulting for her to offer housing for them, knowing this housing she's talking about isn't less than $250,000. Who is eligible for that on $41,000 salaries? Wow. Laverne says on behalf of her husband who sold the house and then it was resold for $500,000. She said they scammed him. He had to take them to court. So in my opinion, he sold it for nothing. Wow. There's so many lessons to extract from this, not the least of which is in a I've said this over and again, in a time and place where you can be anything, be kind. How many times have I said that? I've said it so often that you all are saying it back to me. You're quoting it back to me. Marvel, remember you said, be kind. And when you show up, step up to speak up on behalf of somebody, make sure your actions are following through with the words that you're spewing from your mouth. There's a lot going on out here, quite a lot. Tammy says, I think how the Mayor Parker, let me read this properly. I think how Mayor Parker publicly condemned Mayor Kinney when he was exhausted over gun violence, rubbed many people the wrong way, and wanted to see her publicly eat her words. Oh God. CG says, Mother, when I was working, it was $4 an hour. It is crazy. You've heard me say this. People are 10 days late on their electric bills and their electricity are being shut off. This is not conjecture. I've been getting the calls and the text messages. They're 15 to 20 days late on their car payments and their cars are being repossessed. It's a different world and time, and the incomes are just not matching the inflation of what is going on out here. Art says, I thought the state was raising the minimum wage to $15. I need you all to hear me when I say this. The House passed it. but the Senate also has to. And they believe that the Senate won't, which is made up of mostly Republican men. And so, please, when they say go vote, I'm not sure how much longer we will be able to vote based on the things that are radically and quickly changing in this country. But when you have, while you still have the opportunity to vote, while voting is still a thing in this country, I should not see an election moving forward where everybody don't show up to go vote. Please, 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 please. This is crazy, just insane. Alexandra says, David, my degrees are called receipts for the $152,000 I paid in tuition, undergrad and grad school. Yeah, we have to really think these things out. It's crazy. All right, y'all. This was a good show. I'm grateful to all of you. It was really a good show. Tomorrow, the Philadelphia Housing Authority is having their annual Philly Seeds event. Over 400 people are expected to show up. I am your mistress of ceremonies for that event, and so I will see many of you tomorrow evening. So today I have got to spend it getting ready for this event tomorrow. I want to thank you all. It's been a year since I've transitioned from the radio station to where I am today. And, let me read you what one of my team members said. By the way, I have an amazing team. Let me see if I can find it. Just so I want to end the show this way. One of my team members wrote, "What a journey since then. Dear God, thank you for how you brought us through, how you brought Mother through. Thank you for the doors you opened and how you turned a gut punch into a power pivot. You worked it all for her good. Blessed us in the process, and so we give you glory. Continue to guide, protect, and direct us from there. We pray that the steps from that moment to here have been pleasing to your sight, and further affirm that you can trust her to be obedient to your direction. Continue to grant healing to spaces within her that most needed, and continue to develop us all for the mission, purpose, and will of our lives, both individually and collectively. May our most qualified and highest vibrating ancestors, angels, and guides surround us and guard us this prayer. May the Holy Spirit deliver it swiftly to your attention, and may we receive favor in having this prayer answered. This we pray, give thanks, and ask in Jesus' name and for your kingdom's sake. Amen." That was my team member. After a year of all the transitioning that we had gone through, and we watched in awe. We just watched in awe how God turned it around for all of our goods. Of all of our good, went from one team member to now 4 or 5. I think I'm up to 6. I've got people working, right? Things I never thought that would happen. And it's all because of all of you. It is all because of all of you. You stood steadfast. You stood in the gap. You continue to subscribe to Substack and pay the $8 a month or the $80 a year. You are following. You are sharing this platform. I ask that you continue to share. I ask that you continue to inspire me to get up every single morning, because there's some days when I'm like, Black Jesus, no. I love you all. I love you all. I love you all. And so even in the midst of all of this, I was able to curate team members that understood the mission, understood that it was not about us, but for the love and the good of the people that we are serving every single day, every single day, every single day. And so a year later, I am grateful. I'm grateful. David said, "Happy anniversary. They thought they buried you, but they didn't know you were an oak tree seed." And Laura says, "Won't he do it?" Indeed. Won't he do it? Indeed. So thank you. I know personally that I could not have gotten here without all of you standing in the gap. I read a message in my memories this morning that just brought tears to my eyes. Hundreds of you stood up and said, "Not Mother, not today, not ever." Hundreds of you, Mr. Man Frisbee, and he had an event for me 2 days later, and all of you showed up. I cried and cried and cried, and you all hugged me and said, "We love you. We thank you. You were coming into the community." I still come into the community quietly and have these conversations because I love you. I do. It shows up in my actions every single day. I did not just want to cover, the basic news at the local and state and national level. I wanted to, and I've said this over and again, find ways to inspire each and every one of you to be better people, to love on one another, and do what is right despite what it feels like in the moment. And what I did not recognize in those 5 years that I was saying that over and again, in those 5 years where I was going into the community and talking and loving on the people, in those 5 years where I kept saying, listen, y'all, we can be better. In those 5 years where a pastor pulled me aside and said, from 1 to 4 every day, just about every church in Philadelphia shut down because all the ministers were listening to you. In the 5 years where the Muslim leaders were saying, listen, we hear you. We're not going to call in, but we hear you. And so we decided that wherever you go, if you announce you're going somewhere, expect to see a brother there. Expect to see a brother there, making sure that you're safe. And I would go to these events and a brother would walk up and say, Miss Sanders, I'm here. Just want you to know I'm going to disappear into the crowd, but no, I am here. To the Black brothers who would call and say, look here, we're in your, people don't know. We hear people saying things and we would stop them and go, you don't want to go there. That we know that we're going to protect you, that we are protecting you. You are to never worry. To the sisters who are constantly saying, Mother, how can we help you? To the babies who ask their parents to send me a text message to encourage me. To the babies who, hi, Miss Andrea, I heard you on the radio this morning. Hi, Miss Andrea, just want to send you a little message. They're 5 and 8 years old, even down to the babies. And so just understand that in the midst of all of this, and I tell jokes, I talk about my husband all the time because there was this misnomer that Black women don't get married and with blah, 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 blah. And Black men would call and say, thank you for talking about your husband because we just felt like our voices were just not being heard. And the way you honor and love that man, we appreciate it. All of this was going on. So when the storm came, you all became the rainbow in my cloud. Every last one of you. And I cannot say thank you enough. I cannot say thank you enough. Hear me. I cannot say thank you enough. I got calls. What do you want from the White House? They're asking. I don't want anything. I stayed true to myself. Thank them for the part that they played in the journey, but I am staying true to the people. I don't want a job offer. I'm going to start my own thing. It was a risk. But you all, once I started this media company, you all jumped up and was like, yeah, Marvel, okay, you want us to subscribe? What we going to do? Sponsorships were coming. We've been watching you and the work that you've been doing. Here you go. We're going to sponsor you, right? And every day, we work hard as a team to give you what you need. And every day, in the quality of the product that we give you, we're saying thank you. Thank you for believing in the work that we're doing and continue to do. Will we always get it right? Mm-mm. So please do not expect perfection from anybody. We will not always get it right. But what I have always said and done, and you've seen me do this publicly, when I am wrong, I will say, you know what? I did not get this right. Please forgive me. I am not stiff-necked as a public official saying, who do they think they're talking to? Because that's a thing in this city. Who do they think they're talking to? Don't they know who I am? That is not my moniker. My moniker is, you showed me that I was wrong about something. Please forgive me. I apologize. If we did more of that, we'd have more acceptance and love in this city and beyond. But we've done things a certain way for so long, we believe that it's the only way that it can be done. We go silent and then we don't talk about this thing and we don't want people to know. So let this, sister, be clear to all of you. I am not always going to get it right. I'm not. Human frailty. But if I don't get it right, the thing to do for me, knock on my, just pop, mother. When you said so and so and so, I want you to know it did such and such and such and such. That's leadership 101. And then I'm going to come back and say, oh my God, because there are days where I just don't think something through and I say what I say. And I'll come back and I'll say, you know what? Oh, for goodness, thank you. Forgive me. Forgive me. I was wrong. And that's what built trust with all of you. That was it. That was it. And so may the love and grace and peace that you have given me in these times, find each and every one of you under the sound of my voice. Each and every one of you. I'm so grateful. I am so incredibly grateful to all of you. You don't even begin to know. So from my team to yours, yeah, man. I love you all. I'll see many of you tomorrow evening. I'll see many of you tomorrow evening, 400 and something strong, coming to this event. And Marvel will be ready. I promise you. You will not be disappointed. I promise you. Because you know this is what I do. I love to do this. And prepare. Listen, if you have cooties, don't come and hug me. If you're coughing, put a mask on before you come and hug me. But I am prepared to hug all of you at one time. You'll come and give a hug. I'm happy to give it to you. Okay? Thank you, my darlings. May God bless each and every one of you. This episode of Mornings with Marva is officially over. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. All right. Oh, well, there's a whole bunch of comments here. Oh, thank you all so much. I love you. Oh, look at all of this. Thank you, darlings. Bye, everybody. Maria says, and we love you. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and bringing it on guests who will bringing on guests who educate us. And you will always get that. I got more coming. Hold on, darlings. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye, darling.